Hi, 7th graders. So today we are doing something a little different here. I know you can see me down here trying to figure out how to get this up like this. There we go. Okay. Today you're going to be filling out a plot foldable. Okay, and what that means is you need something that looks like this in front of you right now. Okay, as you can see in my screen, okay, this is how you're going to be cutting it. Okay, see how I've got plot diagram glued down and I've got all these open flaps. Okay, this is going to go in the reading section of your notebook on the next blank page. This is going to go in the reading section of your notebook on the next blank page. If I have time, these will already be cut for you. If I didn't have time today, you're going to have to cut them yourself, but I have faith that you can glue and get this in the way you need to get it in. Okay, so pause me now so that way you can put this into your reading notebook as needed. Okay, so at this point you should have already gotten your notes in there. Okay, we're going to go through this slideshow together. I'm going to teach you the most important parts, and you're going to be copying down definitions today. That's pretty much about it. We're going to do the definitions together. Okay, so this is called elements of a plot diagram. Okay, that means we're looking at the pieces and parts of what a plot diagram is. Okay, this is a plot diagram, so as you can see here, I have my little climber, okay, and he is going to walk up the plot mountain, as some of my other kids have called it today, with us today. There are 5 parts and 5 definitions that you are required to know. Please make sure you listen and do your best to copy down these definitions. So this is going to look a little different than what you've normally seen. I know that last year you guys might have called it a roller coaster, okay, where like the plot line went up and down. This looks a little different because you've got these funky little jagged edges here, and I'll tell you what those are when we get there, but I like them. I think they're a good reminder for you, and they make the plot line a little deeper than just this happened and this happened and this happened at the end. Okay, these little jagged parts make it a little bit more complicated, and your brains are good. They're big, smart brains, so you can handle this. Okay, this is the definition for plot. You are not writing this down. It's absolutely obnoxious, but you are expected to know what plot is. Okay, if you want to write it down, you can write it down right up here on the top of this paper. Okay, I wouldn't write those words there, though. Okay, the words that I would write are the words that I'll show you here in a minute. But it says, so plot is the organized pattern or sequence of events that make up a story. Every plot is made up of a series of incidents that are related to one another. Okay, so essentially what that means, is that, let's just plot, okay? If you want to write this down, you can. It'd probably be a good idea, actually, to write it down on the top of your foldable. Okay, so plot, okay, it's a series of related events, okay, and what that means is something happens, okay, and then because of that something else happens, and because of that something else happens, okay. If you think of like dominoes, for example, you push the first domino down and then the rest of the dominoes are going to fall, okay. Percy Jackson is also one of the really good examples. I know a lot of you have seen the Percy Jackson movies, okay. Because Percy finds out he's a demigod, he has to go to live at camp. Because he lives at camp, he gets put on this quest, okay. Because he's put on this quest, he has to fight all these monsters, okay. It's a series of related events, okay. That's what plot is. A series of related events. Okay. Every story has a plot. It's required. Okay, every story has a plot. It's required. If you don't have a plot, you don't have a story. Okay. The first definition we're going to learn about is called exposition. Okay, it usually occurs at the beginning of a short story. Here the characters are introduced. We also learn about the setting of the story. Most importantly, we are introduced to the main conflict, also known as the main problem. Okay. As you can see from my little man down here, this red box, okay, this is the exposition, okay, this is where the, sorry, you probably can't see because okay, there you go, okay, this is where the story is introduced, okay. So in our foldables, okay, lift up this flap, okay, and we are going to put these, okay, you're going to put 2 bullet points in. Okay, your first bullet point is going to be, is in the beginning of the story. Okay, and your second bullet point is going to be shows us the characters, setting, and main conflict. Okay? So, if you look at mine, I've opened this, there you go, you got your 2 little bullet points there. Okay? These are the words that are going to be behind that bullet point. Okay, while you're writing that down, I am going to tell you every story has to have a main conflict. You have to. If you don't have a main conflict, you don't have a story. It's just the way that things are. A story would be incredibly boring without a main conflict to solve. Okay, Bud Not Buddy has a main conflict. It has the main thing he wants to solve, and we'll be talking about that probably starting the week after Thanksgiving, if not on Monday. We're going to start putting Bud Not Buddy on that plot line, okay? We're going to start looking at the events in Buddy's life and how they're all leading up to what we'll learn is called the climax, okay? But the exposition, okay, this little part down here, it's the beginning of your book, okay? Think about if you checked out a library book and it was missing the first 30 pages. You'd be pretty sad because you wouldn't know anything about the characters, the setting, or the conflict, okay? The next one you're going to learn about is called rising action, okay? It's this second part. It's this slopey part. Get it? Rising action. Okay, this part of the story begins to develop the conflict. Building of interest or suspense occurs, okay? So, you've met the characters. Oops, sorry, buddy. You've met the characters, okay? And now you're going to watch them begin their journey, okay? You're going to watch them start heading up the mountain towards this big, exciting event that's going to happen at the top. Okay, and throughout all the little events that are going to happen here in Rising Action, the suspense is building, the conflict is building. I like these little spikes because they show you that the character can have small conflicts along the way. Okay, we did a worksheet on that a few days ago where you had to identify a challenge that Bud, actually we did it yesterday. We had to identify a challenge that Bud has faced and how Bud responded to the challenge. That would be one of these little spikes. Okay, one of these little events in Bud's life that's really leading up to the main conflict that Bud is going to have to solve. Okay, so lift up your rising action flap. Okay, and here's your bullet points for rising action. Okay, your bullet points for rising action are as follows. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, the first one is going to be that rising action develops the conflict. Okay, that means that the conflict is growing, changing, becoming more revealed to us, becoming easier, becoming harder. It's developing. Okay, it's changing and growing. And then also this part is where the author can build suspense. We see things that happen to the character. He's growing and changing as a character. He's becoming more and more. Things happen to him, but he's not quite reaching the big momentous moment of his life yet. Okay, these are your bullet points for rising action. Take a moment and get those in. So the next part is called climax. Okay, it's the very, very tippy top of the mountain per se, our plot diagram. Okay, this is the turning point in the story. It's when the main character comes face to face with the main conflict. It's he's going to change in some way when he meets this big issue. Okay, he's going to come face to face with it, and he's going to go, and as the reader, we're going to go, because somehow this story is the main conflict is going to get solved. The big mystery is going to get solved. The big challenge is going to be faced. Okay. What's important to remember about the climax is that it doesn't always have to end happy. Okay, the character could face that challenge and fail. Okay, they'll change. They are going to change in some way after they reach this climax. Okay, after they reach the climax, they're going to change in some way. Okay, whether it's for bad or for good, the main character's personality is going to change a little bit. Okay, the climax is when they come face to face with the main conflict. Okay, so your bullet points for climax are, okay, I want you to remember it's the turning point of the story. Okay, up till now we've been rising action, building suspense, climax, we're going to sit on top of that mountain, big dramatic moment, and then that's where we turn and kind of start to travel back down the mountain. Okay, it's going to be the turning point of the story. okay, this is where the main character is going to come face to face with the main conflict, okay, and for better or worse, they're going to find a way to solve it, okay, and this is also where the main character is going to change. The main character is going to change in some way, shape, or form after they reach the top of this mountain. Okay, if you need to pause it for a minute and get these down, please do so. Okay, the next part of our plot diagram is going to be falling action. Okay, falling action is pretty simple. It's this part down here. Okay, all loose ends are going to be tied up. That's it. That's all you need to know, okay? We've met the characters. We've followed them on their journey. We have seen them solve the great big problem. And now on the other side of the mountain, this way, now on the other side of the mountain, what we're going to see them doing is just tying up all the loose ends so the reader doesn't have any questions. An example of this would be like if we had a hero who had a dog in the beginning of the story, and he dropped the dog off at his mom's so that he could go on this adventure. Okay, he reaches the top of his adventure, and then on falling action might be where he goes back and picks up the dog at the end of the book. Okay, it ties up all those loose ends. Okay, your notes for falling action are as follows. All loose ends are tied. Oops, you guys can't see that, can you? Okay, all loose ends are tied up. Okay, there are no more questions. Good. Okay. The last definition you're going to learn today is about resolution, and that's it. Okay, we've climbed the mountain. Okay, we've met the characters. We've followed the characters on their journey. We've solved the big problem. We've picked up all the loose ends, and now the resolution is that the story comes to a reasonable ending. Okay, the resolution is that the story comes to a reasonable ending. Okay, unless you're reading like a series of books, the author will not leave you in a cliffhanger more likely than not. Okay, the story is done. Okay, they won't leave you hanging. Okay, that's your definition for resolution. This is technically the end of the lesson, so if you are just about out of time in the station, meaning you have about I'd say if you have less than 2 minutes, you can stop this video. If you still have time left though, I do want to challenge you, okay? Your challenge would be, okay, I want you to tell me where in the story each part happens, okay? So if you look at your foldable, okay, I've got these little labels on the ends of mine, okay? I've written where the part each part's going to happen, okay? So, for example, you guys have always been taught beginning, middle, and end, okay? So your challenge, okay, and I want to see how you do this without me, okay, is I want you to label, okay, on the outside of your foldables, okay, if you think it's the beginning, the middle, or the end. So for example, the exposition, the answer is already in the definition, okay, we know it's in the beginning of the story. Okay, you can work with your group to do this, okay, it's hard because as you get further down, okay, don't tell me, okay, you know what, I kind of want to see what you do without me. When you're thinking middle though, I want to give you some guidance, okay, think the beginning of the middle, the middle, or the end of the middle, okay? I want you to kind of have some of that separation there, okay? I want you to think, is it the beginning, is it the middle, the beginning of the middle, the middle of the middle, or the end of the middle, okay? Because these kind of have a special place when it comes to talking about the middle of things, okay? Work with your group, see if you can complete this challenge. I have every faith that you can if you've gotten this far.